morning, ladies and gentlemen. Both who are here personally present in person and some of you who have joined in virtually. Some of them couldn't join in person due to health reasons because of the wonderful weather Delhi and NCR is helping us with. But it is with great pleasure I introduce our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Meena Mahajan of Siddhi Philanthropic Foundation. A highly respected spiritual teacher, leadership coach, and holistic wellness expert, Dr. Mahajan has dedicated her career to empowering individuals and organizations to achieve personal and professional excellence. Dr. Mahajan has been a recipient of many prestigious awards and honors for her work in the field. She has been awarded at the British Parliament more than 2 times for spreading spirituality across the globe, Make in India Award 3 times for spreading spirituality in the corporate world, Rashtra Gaurav Award, and recently she has been honored with the prestigious Dr. Sarojini Naidu International Award for Working Women 2024. Dr. Mahajan continues to inspire countless individuals with a wisdom on leadership, spirituality, and holistic well-being. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Meena Mahajan. We are truly honored to have you with us today, Dr. Mahajan, and we eagerly look forward to hearing your insights and wisdom. Please, can you have a seat? Ladies and gentlemen, we are equally delighted to introduce the moderator of our fireside chat, Ms. Dharmika Sharma, a spiritually inclined colleague and focused in the fields of social entrepreneurship and sustainable development. Let us also extend a warm welcome to Ms. Dharmika Sharma. Please come. Thank you for joining us for what promises to be a thought-provoking and enlightening fireside chat. We're excited to have both remarkable women with us today. Without further ado, let us begin the session. But just may I request, we have the CHRO for SBS India, Ms. Natasha Singh, here with us, for her to please help facilitate Dr. Mahajan. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you so much. We have a very strong focus on ESG and sustainability. So not just the plant, but this stole is also handmade by people in the Northeast. So this has been flew in over the weekend from Northeast. Yeah. So over to you, Dharmika.
Thank you so much, sir. And a very warm welcome, Dr. Mahajan. So before I begin, I'd just like to note one thing, that life oftenly presents us with challenges, and so is life. And surprisingly, even a one negative thought, a comment, a quarrel, or even a disagreement just overshadows our 24 hours. But this is what life is, I think. And I'm sure not all, but most of us present here today, there is something that is constantly running behind our minds, and we oftenly don't recognize it. But here is the role of holistic wellness, here where holistic wellness actually plays its part. So I'm sure during the conversation we'll definitely unfold more aspects of holistic wellness, ma'am. So not recently in the past, we just celebrated World Mental Health Day, and fittingly, the theme for this year was mental health at work. And I do not think that there would be any better opportunity to have a conversation with you today here, and with the pioneer of holistic wellness herself. And thank you for leading the path of spiritual realm in the corporate world. And with that, I'd like to begin our conversation. So my first question to you would be, corporate worshipping and spirituality, they are two different aspects. And how did you come across of getting these two trends together? And how do you think this has actually affected corporate, and in what way?
Firstly, good morning to everyone, and thank you so much for showing up this morning. A big thanks to Tarun. I think it's always a pleasure to meet him and to connect with leaders like him. It just gives me a big reassurance that the future is in safe hands, the corporate future is in safe hands. Thank you for having me, and yes, I think the first question itself is very important to address before we go on and talk about mindfulness. Spirituality word is very intimidating, right? So whenever we talk of spirituality, most of us, especially the generation, the 30s, would think that it's a lot to do with prayers and rituals, and this is not our cup of tea, and this is some obsolete topic. Why spirituality? Because we've heard a lot of things in our house. We've seen our mom and dad, we've seen our grandparents doing things which make no sense to us, right? So somehow this generation, the Gen Z has just, and the millennials, they have just decided to be modern and cool, and so they think that spirituality is not a topic that we should talk about, yeah? But I think the opportunity that I get to go to corporates and institutions and universities and schools, I just want to first clear this myth. Spirituality is not what we think it is. Spirituality is the way of life, okay? We have never been taught, and I always say that only because we don't know doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? So spirituality is a way of life. And when I say way of life, it means what time you get up, what you do after getting up, what you're eating, how you're eating, you're walking, how you're walking, you're talking, what you're talking, how you're talking, your body posture, your habits, your language, your sleep time, your binging time, all this is spirituality. Yeah? So spirituality is a very ancient subject which was delivered for the benefit of humanity, which talks about how we all can live a very abundant life. You all have heard the word abundant? Yeah? You have? It's not rich or it's not being very wealthy. I'm saying abundant. So if anyone wants to lead an abundant life, which means you are full of everything. You're full of happiness, you're full of love, you're full of peace, joy, money, of course, very important. Everything comes together as a way of life in spirituality. Corporations, or corporates as we call it, which are meant to serve a higher purpose, and I always feel whether it's the banking industry or it's any industry, they are meant to serve a higher purpose. And the people who work in that organization are the biggest asset to that organization. And I feel it is the organization's responsibility to ensure that every single employee, every single human that works for that organization is spiritually aligned, which means he should be physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally, socially happy. That is why we say that spirituality and corporates go hand in hand.
Thank you. Very well delegated, ma'am. You just mentioned something about the Gen Z and the millennial correlation. So my next question would be on that. So what strategies would you suggest the young leaders to connect and learn from more experienced colleagues? while also fostering an environment that values their fresh perspective and innovative ideas. So we know a lot about coming in the Gen Z, the millennials and the Gen X, working in a corporate. This is something like our home as well. We have certain disagreements happening at home due to the generational gap in, So the same case, I think, would be in corporate as well. So what are your thoughts about that?
See, disagreements is never a problem. Okay? Conflicts are a problem. Spirituality teaches you how to behave or how to align yourself in a situation where there are disagreements. Now, we've called it a generation gap, but honestly, if you put, like if there are 30-year-olds, how many of you are 30 here? Or between 30 and 35? So if I just put all of you on one side of the room, saying that you belong to a particular generation, and if I just give you one picture and say that tell me your analysis of it, all of you will tell me different analysis, yes or no? So it doesn't mean that I have to disagree to all of you. Okay? It means that I have to appreciate the diversity and the perspective that all of you have. It might not be the same perspective that I see. Okay? You all have your own perspectives to see that picture. So same way in a corporate, in a team, in a family, we all have our own perspective of seeing a situation. That doesn't make someone's perspective right or wrong. Okay? So you need to appreciate everyone's perspective because everyone is different, everyone is unique. And that's why when there is a spiritual alignment, okay, when there's mindfulness in an organization, then there are no conflicts. There could be disagreements across the table. You can convince what works better. Because something you all need to understand as being a part of one team is that what are we all working for? And we all need to understand the ultimate goal of being in one team or a family, even in your personal life. We are all working for higher good. Something that is of a higher good for everyone. That should be our ultimate purpose. We should never work with the thing that I should achieve this. Okay? So there's always a higher good involved. And whenever there is a higher good involved, okay, what happens? That we take everyone's perspective and we choose what serves the higher good. We choose what is going to be of benefit for everyone. Right? So the best way to resolve any conflict in your family or your organization is to first appreciate everyone's perspective. There is no right or wrong. I mean, even if you have 2 children in the house and you ask them to paint something, they are going to paint the same scene with different colors, right? Can you tell your child that the sky is not pink? Of course the sky is pink. Who told you that the sky is blue? A couple of books, your degrees have taken the creativity away and you think the sky is blue, but your child knows the sky is pink, the sky is purple, the sky is black, the sky is brown, right? So appreciation is very important and we need to somehow embrace the different aspects of each other. And that appreciation is very important in an organization. That is what I feel.
Thank you for that. And my next question would be, I'm sure we all might agree with this, corporate, it can be very tough at times, and the leaders specifically, they work in a very stressed and high pressure environment. And what mindful techniques would you suggest that they can practice, to maybe help them in such situations? How can they refuel themselves to take the critical decisions? So, yes.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think this is an important question, but it's sad that I just have a couple of minutes to answer this. High stress environments, yes. I see a lot has changed in the past 10 years where 30-year-olds are having high blood pressure, they're having thyroid, they're having panic attacks, they have taken to other distractions to let go of their stress and anxiety. There's a lot happening. And at the end of it, I see that even when you're working so hard, you're leaving home in the morning, working hard, your family, probably repaying your parents' loan, probably taken another loan along your salary to, buy a house or a car or whatever. And then at the end of the day, you're not happy. Okay, there's this high pressure situation because you have a target, right? Corporates are driven by targets, which is not a bad thing. But I think what's missing is that we have never understood the energy which drives a target. So the first thing is that primarily something that I see missing is happiness. Like it's morning, half of you are yawning, there are no smiles. So I just feel as if happiness has gone away from our life. Wherein spirituality says that in 99% of the situations you have to smile it through. Yeah? So even if you're making good money, even if you have a good paycheck coming, even if everything is sorted, but there's still no happiness in your life. Right? So spirituality teaches you the opposite equation. It gives you all the reasons to be happy. All right? Because happiness is that energy which attracts all the other things in your life. So you'll be able to see that happy and contented individuals do better at work. Happy and contented mothers, they keep their homes better. But I see that, with girls now working, I think I had a fabulous talk at the British Business Group conversation with a couple of you. And I said, mothers, for females, it is becoming more and more tough because they're having to multitask, leaving home in the morning and leaving the kids and then trying to do everything right and etc., etc. But it's all possible actually. The only point is that we have taken so much pressure and we don't know that, and we've called this good pressure. I've also had discussions with corporates where they say there is a good pressure and a bad pressure. I said, no, pressure is pressure and pressure is bad. Okay? So I think the key word is happiness, and happiness is a natural state that we are born with, but somewhere, someone, the society, the schools, the colleges have taken away the happiness from our system. So if you see your child playing during exams, the mother is, are you normal? Are you not taking stress? You have an exam tomorrow. So what we've done subconsciously is that we have taken away the happiness and we have said that stress is okay. Stress is a good thing to have. And you cannot be happy and you cannot be chilled out if you have an exam tomorrow. You cannot be happy if day after tomorrow there is a submission and you have still not done your PPT. You have to look stressed. That's not right. That's not how this works. So we need to go back and rethink. We need to create happy spaces. We need to create happiness within ourselves. And that is why I say that leadership is to do with yourself. Leadership focuses on self-work. Leadership never focuses on the other person. It's a saying, right? Show me the leader and I will show you his team. Rig Veda says, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja, which means that a leader is supposed to work on himself. Everything else starts getting created on its own. Right? So the first thing is, I'm not going to tell you to meditate. I'm not going to say that, okay, now sit with me and meditate for 10 minutes and that will take your stress away. No. Are you working on yourself? Are you happy and genuinely happy? That contentment inside your heart, कि आज मेरे पास जो भी है, I'm happy. Living in the present and not the past or the future. अभी क्या लग रहा है? Future में क्या होगा? 5 साल बाद क्या होगा? Correct? We keep analyzing. Self-talk. I say talking to yourself is the worst thing that can happen. Only a saint should do self-talk, because a saint will never mess himself up, right? All the other people, they completely mess themselves up because of the self-talk. The whole day you're talking to yourself, talking to yourself, talking to yourself. So it's either past or future. So you're creating patterns of the past to create a future which is horrible. So spirituality teaches you to live in the now. आज का moment है ना हमारे पास. We don't even know. I mean, spiritually speaking, I ask this question. हम 5 years की investment करते हैं, 10 years के plans में invest करते हैं, mutual funds and this and that. Who has told you that you will live for 5 years? Who has told you that you're going to be a part of this planet for another 10 years? 20 years investment. So 20 years के बाद, I am going to have 10 crores. Who has told you that you're going to be here for 20 years? Have any of us, have we got a certificate which tells us our expiry date? No. So we are thinking, we are planning of the future. All material investments are happening thinking of future, and we are forgetting to live in now. We are forgetting how important this moment is. And you've seen that COVID, what was COVID? COVID was a big shake-up just for this. That what are you even looking at? I mean, if today Mother Nature decides to take a wrong turn, all of us will be in a soup. No corporates, no salaries, no vehicles, nothing. Remember the lockdown. Whenever you get worried about future, remember the lockdown. That what happened really to the whole world. So if you feel that everything is transient, which it is, everything is transient. The only moment we have is now. The thought that you have now, the decision that you take now, the feeling that you generate now is deciding your future. Okay? So the best gift you give yourself is not a positive thought or a negative thought. Okay? Because what is positive for me can be negative for you, and what is negative for you can be positive for me. So the best gift that you give yourself is just be in the moment and be happy. Give out that vibration of contentment. Okay? I got up, I was able to come, it's a happy day, I met my loved ones, my parents are okay, I got a call from them, mom is okay, dad is okay, children are okay, wife is okay. This is enough. So what happens is this gives you a contentment in your heart. You feel happy. Okay? You feel worthy of the gift that the universe is giving you. And this happiness starts making you abundant, because everything is a vibration at the end of the day, right? There's an energy. So if I carry energy of, say, frequency 100, if I'm vibrating on 100 frequency, I cannot meet anyone from a 10 frequency or a 12 frequency. Okay? I have to meet people and situations which are of a 100 frequency. That's how this works, right? That's how the energy world works. So whatever frequency you have, आपकी feeling की एक frequency है. Say suppose you are a jealous person. Your nature is to be a jealous person. Okay? So jealousy has a frequency of, say, 10 hertz. Now you're walking with a frequency of 10 hertz. You cannot meet someone who is of 100 hertz or 200 hertz or 20,000 hertz. You are bound to meet people who are like you. Okay? तो आपकी संगति वही हो जाएगी. You are going to meet people who are of 10 hertz. Okay? Same jealous people. Okay? A retarded mentality, regressive thinking, gossiping. You will meet such people. And then what happens? So this group of people is not capable of attracting any abundance from the universe. Okay? So they are very limited. That is why we say they have a very limited belief system. And the moment you're happy, the moment you have you know that you have enough. That's why leadership ka pehla lesson, you know, when I teach the Bhagavad Gita, can I talk? Or just, okay.
Yes.
Leadership's first lesson. You all have heard of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita's first chapter is called Arjun Vishad Yog. Imagine Krishna is talking about, he's giving a sermon in the middle of the battlefield. Why didn't he choose a room like this? Why didn't he choose a nice satsang hall where he was sitting as God and everybody was listening? Why did he have to choose the middle of battlefield to give humanity the biggest lesson? And the first chapter is called Arjun Vishad Yog. You know what is Vishad, right? What is Vishad? Anyone? Vishad is a state of complete despondency. एक हारा हुआ इंसान, एक टूटा हुआ इंसान, एक हताश इंसान, एक घुटनों पर गिरा हुआ इंसान, उसको कहते हैं विषाद. So which means if Bhagavad Gita starts only from Vishad, it means God is trying to say it's okay to lose. It's okay to fail. कोई हारना, टूटना, रोना, धोना कोई पाप नहीं है. It's fine. So it's starting from there, because in the first chapter, Arjun is completely broken. He says, I don't want to fight the war. Okay, he's left his weapon and he looks at whatever he sees and he says, मैं नहीं कर सकता, I can't fight the war. तो ये स्थिति हमारे जीवन में भी तो आती है. कई बार हमें भी तो लगता है, I can't do this anymore. Sometimes people even say that I want to end this life. I can't take this anymore. So many loans, so many negativity, so many problems in the house. All the time my entire salary is going in illness and sickness and hospital bills, etc., etc. I can't do this anymore. And it is for a reason the Bhagavad Gita is called the Bible of leadership. Every leader must understand what is said in the Bhagavad Gita. So the first chapter is, it's okay if you're heartbroken. It's okay if you're feeling negative. It's okay to lose. Because from there, Krishna starts giving the biggest lesson to Arjun. Okay? And the biggest lesson, by the way, that he gives is, he recognizes what is Arjun's problem. And which is the first lesson for leadership. So if you're all leading teams, this should be a big breakthrough for all of you, right? So the first lesson that Krishna gives Arjun is, why are you shaking? So Arjun says, my throat is parched, my body is shaking, I'm sweating, I can't fight this war. And Krishna says, why you can't fight this war? Kyun nahi ladna tumhe? So he says, because all the people who are standing in front of me are my own people. They are my gurus, they are my cousins, they are my uncles. How can I fight the war? How can I kill them? Okay? So primarily, this is the situation which every leader is put through. When sometimes in life, even as parents, you know your children have done wrong. Okay? And you are like Arjun. Will you stand up against your child or will you protect your child? Because even though you know he's doing wrong. Dharam sankat jisko kehte hain na? You know your husband has done wrong. You know your wife has done wrong. You know your leader has done wrong. You know some ethic, they have done something unethical. Okay? What do? So Krishna says, the first lesson he says is, galat to galat. So he teaches the first lesson of dharma. He says that you are not Arjun. You are only my instrument. तो मैं हमेशा इस चैप्टर से बोलती हूँ लीडर्स को कि कर्ता भाव मत रखो. Don't be a doer. Because if you are a doer, if you say, this is my team, this is my family, this is I made you this, I referred you, so you became this. What are you becoming? There's so much of ego coming in you, right? So you're becoming a doer. All the problems in your life are because you're a doer. Wives, मैं करती हूँ, right? We just say this has become normal, no, for us. So here the leadership lesson is you be an observer. कर्ता से दृष्टा बनो, ये है हमारी लीडरशिप की जर्नी. हाँ, मैं कर रहा हूँ, I am coming to the office, I have a place to sit, I am serving my team. That is why Vivekanand spoke about servant leadership. You are only an instrument to serve. तो जब आपको हमेशा ये याद रहेगा ना कि मैं केवल माध्यम हूँ. So your children are not your product. आप एक माध्यम हो. You are only nurturing your children. Your team is not your property. You are only serving your team. Okay? When you start having this shift in your energy, you become a lot more productive. Because a karta has a different energy and a drishta has a different energy. So drishta is that yes, I'm an observer. I'm doing my dharma well. So Krishna was telling Arjun that you become a drishta. Don't be an observer. अब अर्जुन बोल रहा है मुझे हेल नहीं जाना है, मुझे ना नरक में नहीं जाना है अपनों को मार के. तो कृष्ण बोल रहा है तुम्हें किसने बोला है तुम नरक जाओगे? किसने तुम्हें ये ज्ञान दिया? और तुम्हें किसने बोला कि अपनों को मारना गलत है? सो ही सेज पहले धर्म को जानो. लीडरशिप का धर्म है कि जो हायर गुड है, जो आपका परम लक्ष्य है, आप उसको देखो सिर्फ. इसके लिए आपको अगर अपने बच्चे के खिलाफ या अपनी पत्नी के खिलाफ या अपनी टीम के खिलाफ कुछ रीसेटिंग करनी पड़े तो करो. बट व्हाट वी डू इज as leaders we are always confused and under pressure, right? And that's why we can never keep our team aligned. So I think when we talk of holistic well-being, we talk of leadership characteristics, we talk of modern day leadership, something very important is be happy, okay? Feel contented and don't be a doer. Just all the time, when you're given a task, when you're given a target, don't feel frustrated. Just feel that God has chosen you as an instrument to serve the higher good. That's it. Because every time आपको लगेगा कि आपको चुना गया है तो आपको स्पेशल फील होगा कि अगर मुझे चुना गया है तो इसका मतलब कुछ तो देखा होगा मेरे अंदर. I am somewhere qualified in His eyes. Okay, so what will you do? There will be no ego. You will qualify more. You will qualify more. Because the next lesson he gives is, अगर तुम नहीं मारोगे तो कोई और मार देगा. मरेंगे तो सही. Which means, if you get ego in your life and you start exploiting your people and the situations, the task will be done. ठीक है? The task will be done. आप नहीं करोगे तो कोई और आके कर देगा. So God will never allow you. Leadership is not about ego or self-proclaimed position. Leadership is about serving your people. So if you are a parent, you're a leader. God has made you a parent because you should serve your children. You should not own your children. If you have been given a leadership position, whether there is a team of 2 or there is a team of 2,000, it doesn't matter. Leader is a leader. You have to serve your people. So when we serve, no ego, no conflict comes. And that's where the EQ comes into play, which is like the trending word in corporates, emotional quotient. And I think I spoke about it in BBG that HQ is directly proportional to SQ. HQ is happiness quotient. If you're happy, if your people are happy, it is directly proportional to SQ, which is the success quotient of an organization. Yeah, long answer, but...
Not at all. Actually, there are a couple of takeaways from the answer. Yeah. One is be a doer, no negativity and no judgments.
Yeah.
So, threading on to what you just said, my next question would be that not only in corporate but life in general, we often experience the burnt of perceptions. And many times we ourselves are so quick to pass a judgment about someone. And we are humans, we do that very often. So, irrespective of the hierarchy, irrespective of the hierarchy, people avoid asking questions. Because they fear they might be perceived wrong. The perception of wrong and right is always there. And, fearing what the perception might go and how would the other person think about this. So, and when it comes to corporate, I think they're always on the radar of critical decision making.
Yeah.
So, what would be your thoughts about that?
See, I think my thought about this is very clear because I know that there is more and more pressure, and the coming years is going to be a lot of pressure, generally also. Forget corporates, even generally on every individual. And I feel the key word here is culture. What is the culture of your team? What is the culture of your house? What is the culture of your organization? So if the culture of your organization is judging, okay, so if a leader will judge, his team will justify, right? So the biggest time waste in an organization is judgment and justification. So the first thing is, please reboot the culture. If you need the culture of ownership, if you need the culture of accountability, okay, the best is to start taking examples of your house, because I feel the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if a leader if you have a problem with your leader that, he's judging too much or, whatever, I just feel that look at the culture of your organization and you be the change first. So key thing is, all my sessions, you will not believe, whether I'm doing a session with 15,000 people or a group of 50 people, my first thing is, again and again I remind people, no blaming, no judging, no justifying, and no gossiping. If these 4 things can become a culture, and you remind yourself, and you start yourself, don't expect the other person to start. Okay, no blaming. It is so easy to blame. Blaming has become a part of our life. Kahin late pahunche, traffic ko blame kar diya. I mean, blaming is so normal for us. And this is a part of our belief system. On a level, I feel, where this is a value now. Our value system is blaming. Judging. We are judging everyone's looks. We are judging everyone's car that they are driving. We are judging judging all the time. So when as a leader you start judging your team or your people, they get a chance to justify. Obviously, if I'm judging you, you will justify. If I'm saying, if you say you're late because there was traffic, okay, and I say that, no, you're late, you should have come on time for the meeting, and I start judging you that ye to jhoot bolti hai, hamesha se iska yahi hai bas, bahana hai iska. You will justify, right? So what happens at that time? What is the exchange between us? One, there is no mutual dependence. Okay? There is no trust left between us. This gives a scope for her to go and gossip about me, and this gives me a scope to gossip about her. So the culture where there is no blaming, no justifying, no judging, and no gossiping are the happiest and the most productive families also, by the way. Not just organizations. Whatever I'm talking about, please even look at it from your family perspective, because ultimately we are all coming to work because we want our families to grow, right? We want to pull up the lifestyle of our children. We want our parents to lead a better life. That's the reason why we are coming to work, right? So culture is most important. So we have to change the culture of our organizations where there is no scope for any sort of judgment and justification. You understand? Jo hai. I mean, if you're in the role of a leader, Okay, you're supposed to work for your team. आपका काम ही ये है ना. What is your work? To make those people, so it's like, how do I think? I also lead a big organization, okay? How do I think? And I'm spiritual. So then in that case, I should be taking out a lot of faults. But well, I do know my people make mistakes. My team make mistakes. But I correct them. I don't abandon them. I don't rebuke them. Okay? I have my own ways of correcting them because I know if I don't correct them, they will suffer in their life. The same way, if you are leading an organization and if you are truly serving your people, you need to understand that they are with you because you are adding some value in their life. ठीक है? आप उनको यहाँ से यहाँ तो ले जा सकते हो ना? कल को आप नहीं रहोगे, बट कम से कम वो याद तो करेंगे कि आप उनको यहाँ से यहाँ लेकर गए. आपसे एक चीज तो सीखेंगे, शायद डिसिप्लिन सीख लें, शायद बात करने का तरीका सीख लें, कुछ भी. So always keep adding value to your people's life without judging them. And this should start from yourself. खुद से शुरू करो, not from the other person.
Be the change makers. Right. So I think the leaders, they are the ones who have to change the environment of a place, the workspace that we're working here. So what do you think is the role of a leader in promoting mindfulness and holistic wellness? And how can they ensure these practices become part of the organizational culture?
Very important. I think now with I think 2000 was a time when the BPO culture came in, right? Night shifts started happening. And if you actually go back and see that 2000 ke baad hi so much has shifted. The young people, because they had this thing of doing night shift, so the food habits changed, the health changed. Everything just changed after 2000. And this changed. All right? So you don't know. So nobody has any knowledge of self. The self-knowledge has gone missing. There's no time. So something that I see is everybody says, time ही नहीं है. कहाँ है time हमारे पास? Time ही नहीं है, time ही नहीं है. And that's why your company, your organization is your first home. Because you're spending a lot of time here. So while organizations today are making it very comfortable for their employees to have cafes and to have a Starbucks and to have a Tim Hortons in their campus, I would also say that please introduce mindfulness and spiritual tools and techniques for the well-being of your people. Okay? Because when you give up, because now people are giving up. You look at a 35-year-old, he looks like a 60-year-old. But if you see some generations back, a couple of decades back, you see that an 80-year-old had the energy of a 20-year-old. Okay? So something has really gone wrong. And all of that is because this pressure and the stress and the expectations from life and the targets that we have for ourselves, everything is materialistically driven. So we don't have targets which are spiritual targets. We don't have targets, any other targets, except the target that I want this much in my bank till this year. So all our goals are materialistically driven. So that's the only currency, unfortunately. Okay? Now, this situation is very, very dangerous. Because an unhappy person, unhappy woman, can never be an effective mother, can never be an effective wife. Same way, an unhappy man can never be an effective son. You'll keep snapping at your family. है ना? And you will expect your family to understand that, oh, वो बहुत stress में है, office में कुछ हुआ होगा. Correct? So this is not the way you're supposed to live life. So that balance that needs to come, that balance is called, the word is yog, which is not yoga. Okay, again, that is twisted. The yog strategy, the philosophy of yog is to keep a balanced mindset that give money importance, but also give yourself importance. Okay? Because there's a long life ahead of you and you don't want to be disabled in any part of your life. You want to have a good family, you want to have a happy family, you want to holiday with them, you want everything in your life, right? कोई भी ऐसा नहीं होगा जो कहेगा मुझे सिर्फ ये चाहिए और मैं फैमिली पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लूँगा. बट फ्रस्ट्रेशन ये है कि हम जिस मकसद से अपने घर से निकलते हैं वो मकसद ही पूरा नहीं हो पा रहा है. And for that, we need to introduce some tools and techniques, and compulsion hona chahiye, I feel. Like I really feel that, not motivational, because spirituality is not a motivation, it is a shift in your life. So I really feel that spiritual tools and techniques, some sessions like this should be a part of every organization's schedule. At least once in 3 months, one should have long sessions where people can come, understand, unwind, learn, go back, and apply.
So, like you mentioned that spirituality, it's not something that is taught. It's a shift in life. It's a shift. It's a balance that you try to create in your life. So, which brings me to my next question, that the emerging generation or the emerging leaders these days, they're very result driven. And with their careers becoming their primary focus, as you mentioned, what suggestions would you have for them to embrace a balanced life? You know, a more holistic lifestyle. How would you take that?
It's not a bad thing to be result driven. Like I said, targets is important. But again, this brings me to another sutra, another verse which describes the meaning of result in your life. First is that you're not entitled for results at all. Okay, no way you have any entitlement for results. It's like the example, if you plant a seed, okay, and you plant a seed and you have to let it be. Because you know, an intelligent person knows that the natural forces will work on the seed. वो अपने आप उगेगा ना. Now, if you are a highly anxious person who is only result driven, then what will you do? You will keep digging the soil and checking the seed. Isn't it? So what will happen? The seed will die. There's no problem with the result. The result is always a byproduct of the effort that you put in. You are only entitled to your efforts, which should be of the highest quality. अपना काम करो, अच्छे से करो, अच्छे भाव से करो, 100% दो अपना. And then forget about it, because result is a byproduct. Have you ever seen a tree thinking about how many apples it will produce? Anything in nature, have you ever seen worrying about the result? So we as humans are the most stupid species who have started thinking about the result only. Only result. और सिर्फ result के बारे में सोचने से क्या होता है? That the quality of our efforts goes down. We start taking shortcuts. Okay? We start cutting corners. We start doing wrong things because we want results. We are not entitled for results. So the day you understand this formula, that results is a byproduct. Okay? And your only effort should go in doing work which should be of the highest quality. And that's why you meet any successful person, okay? Look at any successful person talking, from Elon Musk to anyone talking. They have always focused on the work that they have done. Okay? All successful people have never told you that they were thinking about what they will be 10 years from now. No one. In fact, they say कि हमें पता ही नहीं लगा ये कब हो गया. We didn't start with this. We only started because we were very passionate about what we wanted to do. Right? So when you take your work as passion, when you take your work as devotion, I know this devotion word is a spiritual word, But well, that's a fact, because if you look at any successful person, they are devoted to their work. वो अपने काम को पूजा समझ के करते हैं. Right? So, whether you're a homemaker, you're a housewife. Now today, just to give you an example, today with the feminism that we talk of, and today women feel that they should be economically independent. Years back, a woman left the house to contribute, isn't it? She wanted to contribute. But today, something has shifted in a female where she becomes competitive with the male. And I always say that feminism is about being a better woman, not being like a man. If we as women leaders want to become better in what we are doing, we need to become better women. We don't need to become like a man. And whenever this competition comes, the law is breaking apart for us. Correct? So whatever we are doing, we need to do it with devotion. आप खाना बना रहे हो, आप devotion से खाना बनाओ. So even if you are making like one simple dal, your family will enjoy it because there's devotion going there. You're sitting with your child, spending quality time. So no point getting, even as fathers, by the way, no point getting agitated that I'm not able to spend time with my family, my work, etc., etc. Whatever time you're spending, devotion होना चाहिए अपने बच्चों के लिए. All right? So when you do your work with devotion, automatically your life changes, the vibration changes. And then there's no question of bandwidth. मेरी bandwidth नहीं है, या how do I multitask? बहुत आराम से हो जाता है. So this is the shift that I'm talking about, which comes when you have spiritual teachings in your life.
Thank you on that. I'd like you to throw a little light on, what are your expectations from the future leadership in the, realm of holistic wellness? How do you want them to take this forward?
See, I think the coming times are obviously very challenging. We don't know how the world will spin with all that we are seeing around, and especially global organizations like yours. So very important, I feel that today leaders need to take care of their team. And when I say taking care, I just don't mean giving them appraisals and just materialistically driven organizations. I truly feel that one should have a very nice, conducive, happy environment. Happiness is the key. Happiness is very important. And this should not be, like usually I've seen that, when people come to work, they say that, I get distracted at work. मैं जो चल रहा है ना मेरी life में वो सब भूल जाती हूँ. So your work is not a place where you come and dump your garbage. Your colleagues are not your dumping garbage. Okay, that's what I've seen, right? Because what we don't share with others, we feel that in office I have friends, I have colleagues. No. So what I'm trying to tell you is resolve yourself. Change yourself. Create a lot of happiness and productivity. Because the world, the times ahead will need a lot from future leaders. Okay, so whether it is effective leadership, whether it is, driven by a lot of passion, and whether it is driven by a lot of results as well, helping your team fulfill targets, whatever it is, I feel the future demands a lot from leaders, and you will not be able to fulfill that till you start focusing on yourself. So for me, I don't know targets, because I've coached companies for more than 2 decades now. And the only one thing which has worked is that self-aware leaders who work on their selves, their companies, their people constantly grow, no matter what the market conditions are.
Thank you. This would probably be my last question of the session, but how do you think intuition plays an important role in the decision making? Because we're living in times where everything is becoming very practical. So how important is intuition in decision making for leaders?
Intuition is also a spiritual asset, by the way. Intuition is something which comes from within, and intuition is something for a leader where he might have to use this to take some critical decisions on the spot. Again, if your intuition is driven by the higher good, all right, your intuitions should always be for the benefit of your people. If not, it's not an intuition. It is some fake feeling if it's selfishness. Okay? But intuition is a very important spiritual characteristic that every leader should inculcate. And how does this happen? This happens with a lot of dhyan, a lot of meditation. That is why you have seen that the founders, the CX levels of very big organizations, they always talk of meditation and dhyan, because that's where they get their energy from. Because if you're talking about $1 billion, if you're talking about mergers, if you're talking about acquisitions, you cannot only trust spreadsheets. Can you trust those spreadsheets and take a decision at that level? No, you can't. It's a lot of intuition, because your intuition is about what is going to happen 10 years from now, what humanity will need 5 years from now, right? So it certainly has to be from within. It's your gut. And that can only be sharpened when you are a meditative leader. जब आप शांत होते हो. You can't be an anxious, angry leader throwing your weight around, your anger around, and then saying that, okay, I'm taking this decision. No. शांत होना पड़ता है. You have to be calm, and then you take a decision. Example. It's a family situation, right? So, you're a father and your girl is now ready for marriage. Okay? Now you get a proposal for your child. Now she's your only daughter, and you know what a daughter is for a parent, right? Now you get a very good proposal. And everything looks right. The boy is good, he's well educated, the family looks good, package अच्छा है, घर है, गाड़ी है, सब कुछ है. All right? But the father suddenly says, something is not right. I think we need to dig more into this relationship. कुछ है जो सही नहीं है. You've heard of such cases, right? वो क्या है? That is intuition. Intuition of a father for his daughter. Same way, intuition of a mother for her child. When something is going wrong, the mother will be kilometers away, but she will be able to call you and say that, Suno, just be careful. Something is not right. Where does all this intuition come from? This intuition comes from the attachment and the love that you have in that relationship. So when you are a leader and you're able to inculcate that intuition in you, it will be used for the benefit of your people. But that has to come from a lot of self-work. It just can't come like that. We all have it inside us, but वो dormant पड़ा हुआ है. जैसे हमारा pituitary और pineal gland dormant है. All right. So if we have to activate that gland, we have to do a lot of meditation, and then we know how these two glands work for us. Okay? So that's something which has to be sharpened.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Meena. We have a couple of minutes left before we wrap up the session. If there are any questions in the audiences, I'd like to roll the ball there, please.
So, you were talking about the greater good, the higher goal. Now, for an organization, the higher goal or a higher good is always profit driven,
Yeah.
business driven. And to attain that higher goal, many sacrifices are made. Because without sacrifices, I haven't seen, achieving higher goal. Now, in order to do so, either you become the victim or you address the victim.
Yeah.
Right? And it can be from layoffs to taking away the projects that had been your baby to anything. I'm not just saying that it's like, the most drastic step. So what would be your advice, for people, for leaders, young leaders, and for employees in such a case? How to deal with that?
Yeah, I think your question is very valid because these kind of sacrifices sometimes they take a lot of your emotions also, and you're thinking about this all the time. Did you do wrong or did you do right? Or sometimes it's also about firing people, and it's also about, like you said, taking away projects from them. You see here, that is why I said that the emotion with which you do this becomes important. Like for example, if I talk about highly successful people and leaders, they never have an emotion of guilt in them. A normal leader will have guilt, but a very successful, self-aware leader will not have guilt. Why? Because guilt is an emotion which comes when you're not clear about whether what you did was right or wrong. Right? So, your emotions, when I say emotions, I mean detachment. The word detachment is very important. And in corporates, detachment should not be understood as being insensitive for your people. Detached leaders are the most responsible leaders. They are solution-oriented leaders. But you can never be attached to your people and take decisions for higher good. Because when you're talking of higher good, it's not attachment with the people or the situation. It's higher good. So when you're understanding through spirituality, that guilt also goes away. Because whatever decision you're taking, but you have to be sure that you're taking the right decision. You cannot be partial. You cannot have favorites in leadership. Because higher good is, it's like you're standing on the 40th floor and looking down. So that same perception has to be for everything. Aisa nahi hai, if someone is your favorite, you are bending rules for that person. And someone who you don't know, you're taking drastic steps for that person. No. So leaders have to be coached towards detachment. So जब वो समभाव इसको बोलते हैं हम, that when you're the same, okay, that conviction comes and you're appreciated for that. You understand? So that will only come when you get the negative emotions and feelings like guilt, resentment, overthinking from your system. So every morning if you're coming, you're focused and you're saying, yes, I am very clear about this. Okay, this situation has come and I am aligned to the higher good. I have to take this decision. Thak. So your decision-taking ability depends on the fact that you have to be detached. So detachment is the biggest asset in a leader. So when you learn that, it's not easy. Right? If your son falls, the mother starts crying with the child. What happens? The child looks at the mother and cries more. So the child is not crying because of his pain. The child is crying because the mother is crying. So the mother should be detached from the child. Only then she can heal the child. So as leaders, we need to take this decision. That's why I said it is self-work. तो आप जितना clear होगे ना खुद में, with spiritual values, and these are not motivational talks, by the way. Like I was telling, this is a shift that comes eventually. And you will see that suddenly you go up the ladder in your corporate life also, because your values are intact. And these are the kind of leaders we need in future. Unbiased and leaders who follow the right value system and not bend the rules for anyone. Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Meena. It was an insightful session. Now, meditation is probably an open-ended tool, right? Because both Ram and Ravan used to meditate, and we know the history. So how do you meditate to be a good leader? I mean, how do you do that? Uh, I mean, this is it. So that was my question.
You're right, actually. And that's why I say that Ram or Ravan हमारे अंदर ही हैं, है ना? So Ram is the nicer side of us, and Ravan, according to me, is the मैं in us, है ना? तो जब राम से पूछा तो तुमने कैसे मारा, क्यों मारा, तो उन्होंने बोला कि मैंने नहीं मारा रावण को उसकी मैं ने मारा. Correct? So it's possible that we are in a spiritual life, we are following the so-called spiritual principles, but the ego is still intact in us. So that's a state of Ravan. So I would rather say that Ram and Ravan are states and not people. So there is a Ram in us which is Maryada Purushottam, which says that yes, I know this is right and I have to follow this, right? And we follow so much about Ram, we realize what kind of a son he was. वनवास भी जा रहे थे तो चेहरे पे स्माइल था, है ना? So walking through a situation with a smile, no problem. That's the Ram element in us. The Ravan element in us is ego, मैं, जो हर spiritual इंसान में भी आ सकता है. And that's why even if I meditate every day, या if I do my sadhana, now it is only to kill that. Okay, so like when you get an award, it's not mine, it's yours. I am just an instrument. अभी जिस दिन मैंने बोला ना मुझे मिला है ये award, this is my organization, बस.
So meditation probably just amplifies who you are, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. But when we are sitting, can we see Ram and Ravan separately in us? क्या हम अपने ही राम और रावण का दर्शन कर पा रहे हैं? That this is my Ram and this is my Ravan. That yes, I did get egoistic. I did do this unreasonably. You understand? So रावण ने वो सब किया जिससे उसी की लंका में आग लग गई ना. तो हम क्यों अपना घर जलाते हैं? हम क्यों अपनी टीम को जला लेते हैं खुद ही? So I think meditation is about seeing these two discrete states.
Good afternoon, first of all,
Good
and thank you
afternoon.
for such a mindful session. So my question would be, sometimes like you talked about HQ, and sometimes we are in a setup, not only corporate, but like regardless of the setup, you are bound to take certain decisions, or like you like have to agree upon certain things which you personally don't like, but like the situation is like that, and by doing that you lose a part of yourself, I feel. And like how to, create a balance between, like you lose a part of yourself, and I think that's the biggest deal for an individual. Like if you are doing something and you don't like, and at the end of the day you are just thinking and thinking like what have I done, and like how to deal with that.
Exactly. And this is where I say that this situation in your life has not just come when you're in the corporate world. This situation came when you were in school life also. Probably you chose a subject which you shouldn't have chosen. You chose a subject because your friends took it, or because your parents asked you to take it, or the qualification. If I say go back 20 years, what will you change about your life? I think you will have enough to change. Maybe how the subjects and whatever it is, right? So this is not the first time that we are being put through a situation where we are having to embrace where we lose a part of us. This is a package. When you're born, this is a package deal. Or you marry a person who you love tremendously, and then after 1 year, no, forget, after 1 month only you realize he's not the one. Okay? So what do? I mean, you can't break a marriage, all right? This is why I said that the first 4 things, which is no blaming, no judging, no justifying, and no complaining or gossiping, this comes to your rescue. So what you do happily, but you don't need to lose yourself. Exactly. That's where the spiritual guidance comes. If you keep quitting, Okay? You're not happy in a relationship, you quit it. You're not happy in a job, you quit it. You're not happy with your children, you quit them. No, quitting is not life. So spirituality teaches you how to courageously take on every challenge of your life without disturbing your state. तो इसको मैं दो तरह से बताती हूँ, स्थिति एंड परिस्थिति. ओके? स्थिति होती है आपकी स्थिति, योर स्टेट, एंड परिस्थिति इज द सिचुएशन आउटसाइड. तो अगर परिस्थिति बदली, आपकी स्थिति बदल गई, फिर परिस्थिति बदली, फिर आपकी स्थिति बदल गई, ये कौन सा जीवन हुआ? सो स्पिरिचुअलिटी वर्क्स ऑन योर स्थिति, विच मीन्स परिस्थिति जो भी हो, आपकी स्थिति नहीं बदलनी चाहिए. योर स्टेट शुड बी द सेम, बैलेंस्ड. अप्रेजल हुआ, ओके फाइन, वेरी गुड. नहीं हुआ, नो वरीज. किसी और का हो गया, वेरी नाइस, ही वुड हैव डिजर्व्ड इट. अपनी स्थिति क्यों बदलनी बार बार? क्योंकि अगर हम अपनी स्थिति बदलेंगे तो हमारी लाइफ विल बी अ रोलर कोस्टर. बस सारा दिन यही करेंगे ना. एक रिमोट कंट्रोल हस्बैंड के पास, एक रिमोट कंट्रोल टीम लीड के पास, एक रिमोट कंट्रोल बच्चे के पास. अब वो दबाते रहेंगे और हमारी स्थिति बदलती रहेगी. दिस इज नॉट लाइफ. करेक्ट? Balance. So when you start coming into the state of balance, you will yourself see that situations are coming, but you're not losing yourself. That's an experience that you have to get. Okay?
Any more questions, please? I probably have one question, which is not a question, but just an interesting spiritual topic which is going around, which is when is actually Diwali this year?
Yeah, so I've just sent out a big document yesterday. So Diwali is, there's a lot of confusion, but we do our calculation based on Ujjain and Kashi, which are the epicenters of the calculation of Kal, which is time. So Diwali is going to be 2 days ideally, 31st and 1st, but the Lakshmi Puja will be done on 31st evening, because that is Amavasya. Because on the 1st, the Amavasya ends around 4 or 5 p.m. So we cannot do Lakshmi Puja, all right? But 31st is the time when we have the night available for puja, and night is very powerful for Diwali. So we are going to consider 31st night for the puja, all right? And 1st till about early evening is Diwali.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahajan, for your time. It was an honor to be in a conversation with you. And I'm sure every one of us, might have, great takeaways to take from the conversation. And we actually know what holistic wellness in our workspace is. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for hosting this for me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Mahajan, for this profound, insights, and that really helped us. I mean, it has opened up various spheres of, how much there is to improve, just by doing such minor corrections into our lives, and we hope to be more better when we meet you next. I would like to thank you for your time, for especially coming over, for giving us this energizing, insights. Please, Tarun, can you have a...
by the way, wishing you all a very, very happy Diwali and lots of blessings and love for your family and everyone around. Thank you.